Hi, my name is Emily. I live in a small town in the United States. When I was a little girl, I always dreamed of being a mother one day. I loved children, and I often imagined how I would talk to my own baby. I thought it would be easy, but when the time came, I realized it was much harder than I expected. Talking to a baby is not just about words, it's about feelings, love, and patience. When my son Ethan was born, I felt lost. I didn't know what to say to him. I wanted to help him learn, but I was scared. I thought, what if I say the wrong thing? But then I remembered something my mother told me. She said, "Emily, it's not about the words you use. It's about how you make the baby feel." Those words stuck with me. I started talking to Ethan every day, even though he couldn't talk back. I would hold him close and tell him about my day. I'd say things like, "Today, Mommy went to the store and bought you some new toys," or "Look at the sky, Ethan. It's so blue and beautiful." In those quiet moments, I felt a connection with him. Even though he didn't understand my words, I knew he could feel my love. Babies can feel your emotions, even if they don't know what the words mean. That's one of the most important lessons I've learned. I remember one day when Ethan was crying. He wouldn't stop, no matter what I did. I was so tired and frustrated, I wanted to cry with him. But then I took a deep breath, held him close, and started singing softly. I didn't know any fancy songs, so I just sang a little tune about how much I loved him. Slowly, his cries softened, and he fell asleep in my arms. That day, I learned that talking to a baby isn't just about teaching them words, it's about calming their little hearts. There were days when I felt like I was failing. I'd see other mothers who seemed to have it all together. Their babies were talking early, while Ethan was still babbling. I worried that maybe I wasn't doing enough. I remember one night, sitting in the nursery after Ethan had finally fallen asleep, feeling so alone. Tears filled my eyes as I thought, am I a bad mom? But then I reminded myself of something important. Every baby is different. I kept talking to Ethan, no matter how small or silly the words seemed. I would tell him stories, talk about the weather, or describe what I was cooking for dinner. Over time, I noticed that he was starting to respond. He would smile when I spoke, and soon he started making little sounds back. Those were the happiest moments for me. I also found that using short sentences and simple words helped him understand. Instead of saying, "Would you like your bottle now, darling?" I would say, "Here's your milk." It made things clearer for him, and I could see him starting to understand. Babies don't need big, complicated words. They just need to hear your voice, your love. One of my favorite memories is when Ethan said his first word. We were playing on the floor, and I was pointing at a toy ball. I said ball over and over, and suddenly he looked at me with his big eyes and said ball. My heart stopped. I couldn't believe it. Tears welled up in my eyes because I realized that all the talking, all the moments of doubt had led to this beautiful moment. There were still tough times, though. I remember when Ethan was about a year old, he had trouble sleeping at night. He would wake up crying, and nothing I did would soothe him. I tried everything, singing, rocking, and even just sitting beside him quietly. But nothing seemed to work. Then one night, I remembered something a friend once told me: babies can feel your stress. If you're calm, they'll be calm. So I took a deep breath, held him close, and just whispered softly, "It's okay, Ethan. Mommy's here." I repeated it over and over, not just for him, but for myself too. Slowly, his little body relaxed, and he fell asleep. I learned that night that sometimes the most powerful words are the simplest ones. One thing I've also learned is that it's important to narrate your day to your baby. It might feel silly at first, but babies learn by hearing you talk. If you're folding laundry, you can say, "Look, Ethan, this is your little shirt. I'm folding it nicely for you." If you're cooking, you can say, "I'm making dinner now, and it smells so good." These little moments help your baby connect words to the world around them. And the best part, they feel included in everything you do. Talking to your baby isn't just about teaching them to speak, it's about sharing your life with them. When Ethan started walking, I would describe everything he was doing. "You're walking so fast," I'd say. "Look at you go," he would giggle and keep going, and I could see the joy in his eyes. Those were the moments when I realized that talking to him wasn't just helping him learn words, it was building his confidence. One of the hardest times for me was when Ethan got sick. He had a bad cold, and he was so little and helpless. I stayed up all night by his crib, talking to him softly, even though he couldn't respond. "Mommy's here," I'd whisper, over and over. I wanted him to know that he wasn't alone, even when he was feeling so bad. During those long nights, I learned that words aren't just for happy times, they're for the tough moments too. Babies need to hear your voice, especially when they're scared or in pain. It comforts them in a way that nothing else can. One thing that helped me a lot was reading to Ethan. Even though he didn't understand the stories, he loved hearing my voice. We had a little routine every night. I'd sit in the rocking chair, hold him close, and read a storybook. Sometimes he'd fall asleep before I finished, but I kept reading anyway. Those quiet moments together were so special. I realized that it didn't matter what I was saying or reading, it was the connection we were building that mattered. Babies may not understand every word, but they feel the love in your voice. As Ethan got older, he started saying more and more words. Each new word felt like a victory, and I celebrated them all. But there were still struggles. There were days when he didn't want to talk, or he would get frustrated because he couldn't say what he wanted. Those were hard days. I remember one day when Ethan was about 2 years old. He wanted a toy, but he couldn't say the word for it. He got so upset that he threw himself on the floor and started crying. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I had failed him. But then I took a deep breath, sat down beside him, and said, "It's okay, Ethan. We'll figure it out together slowly." He calmed down, and we found the toy he wanted. That day, I learned that patience is everything when it comes to talking to babies. They're learning just like we are. It's not always easy, but it's worth it. One of my favorite quotes is, "Words are the bridge between hearts." It's so true, especially when it comes to babies. They may not understand every word, but they understand the love behind them. Looking back, I can see that every word I spoke to Ethan was a step in building that bridge. Every song, every story, every silly little sentence was a way of connecting with him. And now, as he grows and learns more words, I can see that bridge getting stronger. There were times when I felt overwhelmed, like I wasn't doing enough. But I've learned that there's no perfect way to talk to a baby. The most important thing is to talk with love. Whether you're telling them about your day, singing a little song, or just whispering, "I love you," it all matters. Talking to a baby is more than just teaching them words. It's about building a bond, a connection that will last a lifetime.